What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today we're going to continue talking a little bit about the trade deadline. And coincidentally, we are going to be talking a little bit about the same team that we were talking about earlier, right? We talked about David and Joke. If you didn't see that video after this, go check that one out and see what your opinion is about that. But in this one, we're going to be talking about Myles Garrett and the possibility of trading for Myles Garrett and what that might look like, right? So Myles Garrett, and you look at, I'm sitting here looking at this contract. The way they worked this contract for Myles Garrett is ridiculous. To be able to push some of the money into the future, right? And they have 2027 all the way to 2031 are voided years. Okay, but he has no guaranteed money after this year. And his guaranteed salary this year, $1.21 million. This is guy, as I'm sitting here looking at the contract, it's kind of unbelievable. He only had $5.2 million of guaranteed money. There's no way that's accurate. I'm assuming something, yeah, fully guaranteed money, $50 million. Okay, so however they reworked his contract, they got the guaranteed salary down. Again, they're pushing money into the future. That's what they're doing with all these voided years. But again, the next 2 years are $0 of guaranteed salary, and his cap hit. That's really where the big question comes in. Is his cap hit next season is going to be $19.72 million. The year after that, $20.374 million. But again, with zero guaranteed money after this season, you would assume there's going to be a reworked contract, which is what we talked about with Njoku. After this year, no guaranteed money, reworking his contract might be something that has to happen, right? So with Myles Garrett, it's the same thing. With no guaranteed money, you would expect that he's going to want to go out and get another contract, get more guaranteed money, right? And for the Browns, like if they traded him mid-season right now, right before a trade deadline, a trade post June 1st, this season they would take on $18.9 million of dead cap. And at this point, that's, it's almost halfway through the season. You're looking at roughly $9.5 million. While I have your attention, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button, and of course be subscribed and have notifications turned on. When you look at the channel, the amount of people that come here, 52.6% of the people that have watched content on this channel over the last month are not subscribed. And just to go deeper into those numbers, of the almost 14,000 views on this channel in the past month, 66.8% of those views come from people that are not subscribed to the channel. If you're one of those people, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Again, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button. Now, let's get back to the video. Going in to next season, they would have $10.6 million dead cap. And the next season after that, $7 million dead cap. And then, 3.7, basically 3.8 and 3.8 the next 2 years after that. Before basically he's completely off the books in 2029. He has, bonuses that are added up in there. But again, pushing money down the line. That's what Myles Garrett's contract is him pushing money down the line. But he's going to want a new one. And he's going to be expensive. There's no doubt about it. Edge rushers are expensive. He's one of the best in the league. But this is what I'm thinking of. Okay, I know it's crazy, but this is what I'm thinking of. Okay, when you look at Myles Garrett and his stats through the years, all right, his first season in the NFL, 2017, 7 sacks. 2018, 13.5. 2019, 10. 2020, he had 12 sacks. And then 2021, 2022, he had 16 sacks. Each of those seasons, 2023, he has 14. And then 2024, so far, he has 4 sacks this season. Now, I will be the first one to tell you that as great as Myles Garrett is, much of a freak as Myles Garrett is, he does have games where he just disappears. And you don't really see from him, right? You saw it against the Giants this season, September 22nd, when the Browns played the Giants. 1 tackle, 0 assisted tackles, 0 sacks, which is really the beginning of his season as a whole. Really has been quiet. He only has 17 tackles and 4 sacks up to this point. A guy like Myles Garrett, you just expect more. Now, there is the other part of it where teams are going to game plan around him and try to let him not ruin games, right? Just like last season when we played the Browns, we didn't have a good enough plan for him and he ruined the game, right? We should have still won that game, but if they don't have Myles Garrett, we probably blow him out. So coming into this, And looking at everything with Myles Garrett, like just what it would look like, right? You have Myles Garrett on the same defensive line as you have DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, and Leatu Latu. Boy, I'm telling you, that is maybe the scariest forward defensive line in the NFL. And of course, it would be interesting to see if Tamiade comes off the number 95, if we ever did that. But I just think this at least it's Myles Garrett is so good, and we need help on the defensive line so bad that this has to be a conversation. I understand what the numbers are going to look like going into next year. We have so many guys that are going to be free agents, and we have $54 million. Like when you look at a list of names that we have to pay, the cap space that we have, not that much. Right, when you think about who we might have to pay, other free agents, and then any possible trade. And the question becomes like, what would a trade for Myles Garrett look like, right? We see all these star receivers that get traded for next to nothing, right? DeAndre Hopkins just went for like a fifth that could turn into a fourth, right? Now, Devontae Adams went for like a third that can turn into a second or a first. So, situations are situational. You're going to have to give up a lot for a guy like Myles Garrett, but he's a guy that, again, coming in, like, who do you double team, right? We would have so many freak of nature guys on that defensive line. Like, Latu's never seeing a double team if Myles Garrett, DeForest Buckner, and Grover Stewart are on the same defensive line. Like, we'll never see a double team unless the other team wants to have 7 or 8 guys protecting the quarterback. And then at that point, you have like 2 or 3 guys running routes for you, and then it's easier for the secondary, right? That's our problem right now. Our secondary, I feel good about our secondary. For everything we've talked about, I feel good about our secondary. It's our pass rush that just isn't good enough. And that's what I thought would be good this season and would help our secondary out. And really, it's the other way around. Our secondary is really the only reason we got sacks in this past game against the Dolphins, right? Against a team that's terrible offensively. If it wasn't for our secondary being able to cover guys up in the secondary, we wouldn't have been able to have enough time to get to the quarterback. We just haven't been good enough up front this season. So it'd be really cool to see Myles Garrett, somebody I've been a fan of for a long time, coming in, just thought, man, this guy is crazy. Like, his measurables are crazy. If he can be good in the NFL skill-wise, like, this is somebody that could be one of the greatest ever, right? He's currently at 92.5 sacks in his career, and somebody who's definitely going to get to 100. And when you look at the Colts, right, and what we've been traditionally, we've had, the Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney, and those guys getting over 100 sacks in our organization. Now, Myles Garrett probably wouldn't get 100 sacks with us, but to be with us and to go over 100 sacks, I think would be a really cool milestone. It'd be really cool to see. And I just think, like, this is something I don't know how likely it is, right? Not only because Chris Ballard is Chris Ballard, but because of the money it's going to take to have Myles Garrett on the roster. I'd love to see it happen. I just don't know if it will, but man, it would be incredible to see Myles Garrett in a Colts uniform again. The draft capital it would take to get Myles Garrett, probably a little too unreasonable for what, again, Chris Ballard would do. And there are a lot of different factors of why this can't happen. And I know you guys are going to be talking about it down in the comment section. There's no way. There's no way. I get it, man. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, this would be the ideal situation. Go get Myles Garrett, and all of a sudden, defense, even with Gus Bradley's trash scheme, the defense would all of a sudden be like too talented to fail, right? We already are at a point where defense is kind of figuring it out right now, right? And we've played some teams that are bad offensively, so that works in our favor, right? Titans, Dolphins, terrible offensively this season. But I just think if you add Myles Garrett to that pass rush, and with the way our secondary is and the way our linebackers can play, I just feel like, again, the defense, it would be too talented to fail. So that's where I'm thinking about, or what I'm thinking about here. Again, the numbers could be crazy, draft capital could be crazy, but man, This would be incredible if we were able to somehow make a trade and get Myles Garrett in a Colts uniform. So, of course, I want to know what your opinion is of all this. And if you didn't watch the David Njoku trade, go and watch that video. And, of course, make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we have any more content coming out on this channel. We'll be live for the game Sunday. Hope you come out and hang out with us there. And, of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.